Okay, I hope we have sound. Please tell me we have sound. Do we have sound? Okay, we have sound. I hear some sort of click. I don't know what that click is. There's some sort of tick, 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 tick sound. But we have sound, so we're here. So we're going to do it. So we're taking off. We're talking about comics this week. We're going to do a very heavy look at Marvel and DC over a lot of the indies because Marvel and DC have a lot of books coming out. This is going to get very expensive for a lot of people out there. So buckle up, kids. There's a ton of stuff coming, and some of it might actually be good. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's jump in first. We're taking a look at Action Comics, number 1014, Year of the Villain, Dark Gifts. We're having the Red Cloud versus Superman, supercharged by Lex Luthor. Basically, Lex Luthor's been going around to all the villains, giving them special stuff to make them stronger and better because he thinks that destroying the universe is going to be best for the universe or whatever is going on with all this stuff. But anyway, it's been okay. Bendis' run on Superman and Action has been mediocre, up and down. It's not always been the best. But this particular storyline with Leviathan and Red Mist working against Superman seems to work better than some of the other books that we've gotten. And I don't know how exactly all these pieces fit together because it doesn't seem like a lot of the stuff happening with Event Leviathan really goes along with stuff that's happening in with the Year of the Villain stuff that's going on in like Justice League and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't really seem to work a lot of times, so I'm not sure where these pieces all come together. But if you look at them individually, segmented out, Event Leviathan and the Superman books go together pretty well. It definitely could be a whole lot worse than what we're getting in those books. All right. Apparently, I can work as a mime if this doesn't work out, I've been told. Apparently, I use my hands a lot when I talk. That is true. Okay, next book, Batman Superman. Batman Superman, this is going to be a continuation of the Batman Who Laughs series into this first arc in Batman Superman. Now, we've had Batman Superman before. We've had Superman Batman. Now we're back to Batman Superman. I wish they would just go back to World's Finest, because World's Finest was originally the book that brought together Batman and Superman. It would make a whole lot of sense. But regardless, I'm wondering, the Batman Who Laughs is a book that has sold fairly well in the marketplace. And I'm wondering, is anybody out here actually reading it? Have any of you guys been reading the Batman Who Laughs? Do you like the Batman Who Laughs? Do you like the idea of a Batman-Joker hybrid with spikes on a headband covering his eyes? Does that work for you, or does that just seem kind of goofy? I have to say, I have read this issue. They sent us a review copy early, and I wasn't too intrigued until I got towards the end. There is a revelation that happens with a certain other character from the DC universe that gets pulled into the book, and it's actually pretty interesting. So, whether or not you're a big fan of Batman Who Laughs or Batman and Superman with some of the current stuff that's going on with them, this book itself looks to kind of widen the scope with the rest of the DC universe. So it was pretty good. It was interesting. And this is one of those that comes with two different covers. You've got a Batman-focused cover and a Superman-focused cover. You can buy them both, put them together, have a nice little piece of artwork you can throw in a frame on your wall. So that's pretty good. Let's see. Fedmon says, World's Finest or World's Greatest would do good with me. I wonder if there are some trademark issues. Well, no, World's Finest is a DC trademark. In fact, they used it a couple years ago for a Huntress Power Girl crossover, because Huntress and Power Girl were actually Robin and Supergirl in the Earth 2 universe. And somehow in the New 52 and all of that stuff, they got thrown over into the Earth 1 universe, and so the two of them changed their identities into Power Girl and Huntress. So World's Finest does exist in the DC universe for whatever reason. I guess because it just doesn't have the name recognition in the marketplace. You put a comic book on the shelf and it says Batman Superman, people know it's Batman Superman. World's Finest, they may not actually understand that, but I wish they would push it and promote it and make people realize that that's what it is, because I like that title, and I like I like titles that have legacy and history, and especially because that was the original story. The original book that brought those characters together was World's Finest. It works for me as that being the one. All right, let's see next. We do have Detective Comics. Now, I know that a lot of people are really hung up on Tom King and the work that he is doing over in the Batman book, but for me, Detective Comics is where it's at. These are the good Batman stories. These are the stories. Usually, the arcs tend to run about 2 or 3 issues as of late. You don't have to know every character in the entire history. You don't have to have read a book 2 years ago from Detective Comics to understand what's happening today in Detective Comics. They do have the ability to separate those out and make them a little different. So it is nice that we're able to get just some basic good Batman stories. And this particular one against Deadshot, last month, it started out with a good look at the life of Bruce Wayne outside of being Batman, how Alfred kind of forces him to be Bruce Wayne from time to time, and then they get attacked by Deadshot, and so now we have to see how Batman is able to confront Deadshot without giving away the Bruce Wayne identity and everyone else, a lot of the richest people in the world on the plane with him, because, he is a billionaire playboy. So, like I said, I dig Detective Comics nowadays. It's been hit or miss in the past, but the last, 6 months or whatever have been really good. So I'm going to say that's one to keep an eye on. We've got Flash. Flash number 77, another year of the villain, Dark Gifts. Flash is going to be the complete opposite of what I was just saying about Batman. This is one where you do need to have read years ago. Joshua Williamson is doing world building on Flash. He is doing a lot of stuff with time travel. He's doing a lot of other stuff with the characters. And he brings in a lot of small little snippets of stuff from out the history of Flash. So you do kind of have to Wikipedia your brain to Flash while you're reading the book. But these are good, fun stories, as opposed to what's happening in Batman. These are fun to read. And in fact, I actually sat down. I was kind of falling behind on this. I hadn't read, I think, since issue 70. So in the last 2 weeks, I've read the last 6 issues. And they're all good. It's just a good, ongoing series. It's happy and just a good time had by all. And Fedmon, I do see your question. Is that Batman Beyond on the cover of Detective? No, it's not. That's just the funky artwork they have for the cover. All right. Justice League 30. Now, Justice League has been a little bit hit and miss over the last year or so. Starting about issue 19, 18 or 19 somewhere, they did this storyline where they had this Justice League from, I think it was the future or an alternate universe. I forget exactly how it worked out. Everything wasn't exactly what it seemed to be, and it looked like a lot of fun. And then they went up to the anniversary issue of 25. They were dealing a lot with the fallout from Crisis on Infinite Earths. If you remember that from a long time ago, the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, they kind of explained the history of the characters and how the multiverse was created and how the multiverse is trying to fight to come back into existence after the stuff that's happened with Doomsday Clock. And even though we haven't gotten done with Doomsday Clock, you can definitely feel that there's some sort of tie-in here. And then, starting in 26, it got a little less interesting. They've been working towards building up to the Year of the Villain stuff, and it just hasn't been as gripping as the stuff that came before. Part of it maybe because it was so big in scope and it was so much fun, and you had these the return of Starman, the good Starman, the one with the giant star on his chest, the classic character, as opposed to the other one that was like Vertigo Light version that they brought out in the 90s. It felt like a big epic story. And then the last few issues have been basically Martian Manhunter and Hawk Girl. And just a lot of focus on them. We do get Batman with Jarro, which is a little Starro that likes to sit on his shoulder and call him Dad, which is a little awkward and weird. So it hasn't felt quite as epic and big. But this one here, we're going back to issue 30. This is the Justice Doom War. This is the Legion of Doom. and the Justice League finally getting into a giant battle. This hopefully is the one that kicks it in the butt and gets it going. So I am looking forward to that as well. All right, jumping over to Marvel real quick here. We do have Absolute Carnage. Are you guys reading Absolute Carnage? Is anybody out there reading this? There are a lot of books in Absolute Carnage. If you're reading it, are you just reading Absolute Carnage? Are you reading all of the books, or did you go through the list and say, okay, well, here are the 35 different tie-in series they're going to do. I want this one and this one and this one. Or are you just walking into the comic shop on Wednesday and kind of flipping through and deciding which ones you're going to take home? I really am interested to know, for people who are interested in Absolute Carnage. And also, it's a Donny Cates project. So are you the type of person that also read Thor and Cosmic Ghost Rider and Venom and all the other stuff he's been working on? Or are you just a fan of Carnage? And so you decided to check that out because you knew it was going to be a huge crossover event. So, all right. So that's, kind of a cool, funky, fun thing that's going on with Carnage. But of course, that's not the only one, because there is Absolute Carnage Lethal Protectors. And so here we've got a tie-in book that's going to deal with the, I don't know if you want to call them like the crumbs of the Amazing Spider-Man universe. I'm not sure exactly how you want to refer to them, but it's Cloak and Dagger, Morbius. We've got Iron Fist right there on the cover. And so basically dealing with the Carnage cultists who are trying to spread carnage everywhere, coming to New York and causing their havoc. And we've got these street level, more street level guys coming. I do think it's interesting, though, instead of using Luke Cage, which has been their kind of go-to character for a while, now that his series has been ended over at Netflix, they are bringing in Morbius, which, to me, it's interesting because originally Morbius was part of the deal of the new Sony Spider universe of movies. And the MCU, of course, was going to tie in more heavily. We just had the fallout from that and the deal falling apart. So these new Spider-Man inspired Spider-Man universe, Spider-Verse, I guess you want to call it, cinematic universe, is going to have a Morbius movie, but now it is separate from the Marvel universe. So I'm curious, did they put Morbius in here? And you can see him here. I'll scroll down a little bit. Right here on the cover, you can see Morbius. Is he in here because they knew he was going to be in that movie cinematic universe, and so they wanted to draw attention to him? And does that mean now, after this 3-issue series, we won't see him again for a while? Is he going to disappear now that the deal has fallen apart? Let's see here, real quick. Febmon is saying, so Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors Cartoon Cast 2.0. I guess you're talking with all the different characters coming in from the Spider-Verse. Is that what you're talking about there? Web Warriors, though, I liked Web Warriors. I liked Ultimate Spider-Man. I thought that was a lot of fun. I liked the stuff they did with it. I've not been as big a fan since they crossed him over and just brought him into the regular Marvel universe, but I mean, he was a popular character, and the Ultimate Universe was dead for all intent and purposes, so they just wanted to keep the character going. But yeah, so these Lethal Protectors, it's just part of this ongoing push for all of this Carnage stuff. I'm wondering how many people are getting royalties off of this. Are anybody involved with these characters still getting checks? Or has Marvel cut them out? I know DC's really good at sending out checks when these characters show up and stuff, but I don't know about Marvel. All right, and there's another Absolute Carnage, and this one is for Miles Morales, who we just spoke about a minute ago. Now, this cover is actually the variant cover. This is not the real cover, because the real cover currently is classified. If you go to Marvel Comics, if you go to previewsworld.com, if you go to any of those places, for right now, the book is just a black rectangle, classified, stamped on the cover. Now, I'm sure in the next few hours, those will switch over. They'll show you the actual cover art because, comic stores are getting their books today. They're starting to go through them. So the actual cover, I'm sure, has already been leaked on Twitter or whatever if you want to go find them. But regardless, This book is yet again another Absolute Carnage tie-in, and since it's a part of the Spider Universe, they have to bring in Miles Morales. I don't know. That's just part of the deal that goes on with this stuff, is reading all these extra books. Now, it is written by the same guy who does the regular Miles Morales nowadays, which is a shame because he's not that good. But regardless, it will be Miles Morales and Scorpion dealing with all this Venom stuff. All right, now real quick, Fedmon back in the chat. He was talking about Ultimate Spider-Man, the cartoon, not the comic series. I gotcha. When I think of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, though, I'm thinking of the one that had Nova and Power Fist and or Iron Fist and who else? White Tiger, was that the other one? So that's the one I remember because that's the one my son always watched. The last few years, I can't get into a lot of the cartoons and the TV shows and stuff. They're just too different from the comics anymore, and I just don't enjoy all of the changes. I'm a little better with the movies because the movies you just kind of see once and they, go on. They're their own thing. But the TV shows tend to keep going and keep churning out material, and that's what people think of most of the time when they're talking about these characters because they're not following the comics, and then everything gets confused and people complain about why isn't this like that and whatever. It's like with the Justice League Unlimited cartoon several years ago. Everybody wondered why Green Lantern was suddenly a white guy. Isn't he a bald black guy? Because that's what I saw in the cartoon. It's like, well, there's more than one Green Lantern, so that's kind of confusing anyway. But the main Green Lantern has always been Hal Jordan, and the John Stewart Green Lantern, he had his own series for a while. He appears a lot in Green Lantern Corps. It's confusing, especially because they do that type of thing where they pick one version of the character and whatever. Anyway, old man rant over. Let's move on. Amazing Spider-Man. This is Amazing Spider-Man 300 is getting reprinted. They're calling it here Amazing Spider-Man Venom 3D #1 polybagged. Basically, they've taken Amazing Spider-Man 300 and they've reworked all of the artwork and they've turned it into a 3D comic. And then it's being bagged with a pair of glasses. Now, this is one of the big seminal issues in the Amazing Spider-Man history. A lot of stuff that goes back to Venom and the Black Suit Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane bursting onto the scene and becoming a big deal here. It is $7.99 though. So I like the idea of it, and I may buy it because it is kind of a cool collectible thing. But I'm just wondering, is anybody else out there going to pay $8 for a 3D comic? I mean, I know there's a handful of people like me, but any of you guys feel like that's worth paying for a comic like this? Which is an interesting question because we're going to talk about something more expensive here in a minute. But before we get there, we have House of X, continuing all of the cool stuff happening in the new X-Men universe. I guess. Listen. I go hot and cold with the X-Men sometimes. It kind of depends on who's writing them. I think Rosenberg did a pretty good job when he was there. He got shunted aside for Hickman. Hickman is doing a lot of stuff. He's charging an extra $1 for the book because it's got more pages, and a lot of the pages are just text or logos or the whole sheet, and it's just split into black and white with an X on it because that's worth paying an extra $1 for. I don't know. Are you guys into this? Are you guys really into this? At least House of X and Powers of 10 are limited series, and so they're going to end eventually and then roll into real X-Men books. So maybe we'll get past all the Hickman mumbo jumbo by the time we get to that. I don't know, but for now, I'm not reading these books, but I know they're big. I know they're exciting for a lot of people. Are you guys reading them? Do you like them? Let me know why. What is it about these books that you think are so awesome? Is it just because Cyclops? Because Cyclops is back? I guess Colossus is in there somewhere, but Cyclops is back. Is that what attracts a lot of people? I don't know. Anyway, Marvel Comics 1000. Now, this is the other big expensive one I wanted to talk about here because this one is $9.99. Now, it is an oversized book. It's got lots of extra pages. It's square bound. It's a deluxe format. And the idea, supposedly, there is some sort of mystery of, what do they call it? I know it says somewhere, the Eternity Mask. And something about the Eternity Mask is, I don't know, that's the story that's going to build this thread that goes throughout the entire history of the Marvel Universe. And the odd thing is, it's pulling in, like, old gray big head Hulk, like from the original Hulk comics. It's got a lot of, stuff from throughout the Marvel history being tied into the story, which I don't know how they're going to make some of this stuff fit. Because, now we look at stuff for Marvel. Marvel always has like this rubber band history, whereas DC, they get so many years and then there's a crisis, things reset, and then you have a new version of the characters. They can make them younger again. Marvel likes to do this thing where the events all still happen, but the times in which they happen kind of change as history spreads apart. So Captain America, still in World War II in the 1940s, but instead of waking up in the 60s, now he wakes up in the early 2000s because they've had to stretch time. And there have been, intermittent times before where he woke up in the 90s and, whatever. But now, technically, Captain America woke up after 9/11 in the new Marvel Universe. So I'm curious about how this is going to play into this great conspiracy, this great look at everything that's happening in the Marvel comic universe. That supposedly this brings all of this stuff together. So I don't know. Maybe this is going to be great. Maybe it's going to be terrible. As you can see here, various writers, various artists. So a lot of different people working on this. I know there's some fully painted stuff in there as well as some comic stuff. So hopefully there's going to be some stuff in there that everybody likes. I just know that this $9.99 price tag is going to make it tough for a lot of people who don't consider themselves die-hard fans of Marvel Comics. We have Marvel Monsters #1. Now, I'm just going to bring this up quickly. I know a lot of you are like, what? Why would, who, what? A couple years ago, Marvel did this thing called Monsters Unleashed. They did a mini-series. The mini-series got turned into an ongoing series. The ongoing series got canceled. Everyone forgot about it. It went away until now. Cullen Bunn is bringing it back, and I don't know why. But I will say that they do have a neat thing going on with this, and that is Kid Kaiju, who is the superhero of this book, I guess you could say. And he basically has the ability to draw the monster on a piece of paper, and then the monster appears and can fight off whatever attacking monster there is. So it's, if you love Godzilla movies, you love that big stuff, here's another chance to get at it. I think it's an interesting character, even though the series may not have been the best. It definitely is. It's weird because it's kind of skewed a little younger, but at the same time it's parental advisory because it's a lot of violence and people getting stepped on and buildings crumbling and whatever. But still, if you've got a kid, 7, 8, 9, it's probably a good one for them. Enjoy it quite a bit. And that's going to bring me to the next book, which is one my son has desperately been waiting for. Power Pack Grow Up #1. Yes, Power Pack is returning. I know, Jason Duvall, you're out there. Power Pack is coming back. You're going to love that book yourself. And this brings back Louise Simonson, who wrote, I think, like 93 issues of the original Power Pack series. 83 issues, maybe 90. I don't remember. It was a lot of books. And so they're bringing back Power Pack, and they're like, I don't know, I guess trying to update them, bring them forward. My son loves Power Pack because Power Pack is a group of superheroes who are kids who enjoy being heroes as kids. Unlike Champions, unlike West Coast Avengers, who are all like, hey, we're kids, but eventually someday we'll be Avengers and we'll be grown-ups and we'll be good heroes. Power Pack are basically the group that says, hey, we're kids and we're heroes and we're just going to do it now without worrying about growing up. But then, of course, this is Grow Up #1. So we'll see how much growing up they actually do, but I know this is one he's really been looking for. Power Pack is the team that he really likes. He doesn't care about Runaways. He doesn't care about anything else. This is the one that he's going for. Finally, All you PlayStation 4 fans, Spider-Man Velocity. You can see here, this is part of the Gamerverse line of comics coming from Marvel. This is the character of Spider-Man from the video game on the PlayStation 4. And this is the first original story that's being done with the character. Now, we had a series recently called City at War? City on Fire. I don't know. I want to say City at War was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story. City on Fire was the movie Tarantino stole from to make Reservoir Dogs. So I don't remember what that one... But I think it was one of those also. Anyway, that one just basically adapted the story from the video game into a comic. This one is actually doing a brand new story set in that universe. It's all new, original story, telling the continuing story of Spider-Man, and you can see with the Velocity suit. Oh, City at War. There it is. City at War. Okay. I think that was also the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But the Velocity suit, they want to make it really clear here that this is the Velocity suit. This is the Spider-Man with the Velocity suit. So, if you like the video game, maybe you didn't read the other one because it was just retelling the story from what happened in the video game. This is the one that you're going to want then to continue on after the video game. And I'm sure they're working on another Spider-Man video game, but because it takes so many years for video games to come out nowadays, especially the big budget ones, it's going to take probably 3 years for the next game to hit the market. So Marvel is trying to fill in some of the holes with these stories so that when that one comes out, there's already a universe behind it, building up some of the other characters and stuff going on. So that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching. It's great to have you here in the chat room, always dropping some messages. I am trying to keep an eye on that as we go along. Also, if there's any comics I didn't talk about in the previews that you wish I did, make sure you drop a comment, let me know, and I'll keep that in mind when I talk about ones in the future. Some of the comics we get ahead of time, so I can actually read them and get an idea of what's going on, like with the Batman, Superman, Batman, but whichever that one is, the one that should be World's Finest, I was able to read that one in advance, so that was fun. So let me know if there's anything you're looking forward to. I can maybe try to take a peek at this if there's one thing or another. So Fedmon pops in here in the chat room. I hope they adjusted MJ's character model because she looked 14 in that game. Huh. Those scenes were almost like To Catch a Predator sometimes. Well, you know, you can't win them all. When it comes to modeling the characters of the Marvel Universe in a video game, you know how well that's working out for different games. We have that new Marvel's Avengers Assemble or something like that that's coming out. I forget what it is. And it's not the characters from the movies, even though they're wearing outfits that look like the ones in the movies, but it's not the actors' likenesses in it. So everybody's like freaking out on how that one looks. So... you know, it's just video games have a hard time these days getting the correct likeness involved. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, any questions, comments, whatever, drop them below. I will take a look at it. I'm hoping... Oh, because the one other thing I don't want to forget, we will have the new versions of Supergirl 33 and Superman 14 coming out this week. I'll be getting my copies later tonight. So maybe I'll hop on real quick and just do something streaming over my phone or something, do a live, just taking a look at the differences between these originals and the new ones coming out with the new covers. So that's something to keep an eye out for. You can go to thepopc.net to check out all the rest of the Pop Culture Network. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.